Hi guys, welcome back. Today is the third series of our diet, health and weight loss series. So today we are discussing hunger, and we are going to learn about true hunger, about toxic hunger, and how to ensure that your diet, your food choices are propagating true hunger and not toxic hunger. Sound like something that you want to learn about? Stick around. So if you're coming back and you've subscribed to my channel, thank you very much. I love you guys. If this is your first time here and you love the content, please consider subscribing to my channel. Hit the like button. Please leave a comment so that I know what your feedback is and what you want to learn from my channel. Thank you very much. So before I waste any more time, let's begin. What's hunger? Because it sounds like something that's common sense, right? Because when I talk about hunger, what comes to your mind? You've eaten, you've stayed for a long time, you're starting to feel your stomach growl, you're starting to feel that your energy levels are dropping, you're probably having a headache, you're irritable to some extent, you are feeling like sweating, yeah? So that sounds very familiar to most of us, how we experience hunger, because that's the term I would like to use, yeah? How we perceive, how we experience hunger, because it's different for most of us. And medically speaking, if you come to the hospital, because I'm a medical doctor, and you tell me that you're feeling like falling, you're sweating, the first thing that I ask you is, when did you last eat? Yeah? If you have low energy levels, or you've just dropped, fallen or fainted somewhere and they bring you to the hospital, the first thing you ask someone is, when did they last eat? Then probably we will do a very quick test to test your blood glucose levels. So it sounds pretty common sense and scientific, yeah? But let's demystify a couple of things, because hunger is a way that nature made us to ensure that we are communicating to our brain and to our body that our energy sources are very low. In fact, hunger is body's way of protecting your muscles, because the body's preferred form of energy comes from your carbohydrates and your fats. Yeah, should those sources be completely depleted, like in severe starvation, your body starts to break down your muscles to provide energy. And hunger is one of the ways that your system is trying to protect you from that. I'm going to explain scientifically how hunger is stimulated, yeah? So, like every sense and every function in our body, if I prick myself here with a pin, even without looking, that sensation is first going to go to my central processing unit, which is the brain, and then it's going to interpret that, wait, that was a pin prick, yeah? And then it's going to come back and I will sense it by feeling pain. And that's exactly how we perceive hunger. There are special regulatory centers in your brain that help us to sense hunger. And by sensing it, they help to stimulate the appropriate response, which is through the what you call the reward, the motivational centers. It triggers you to look for food, to eat, to probably eat something that you're craving. That's what you call the reward, the motivation centers. Yeah? So basically, we have short-term food intake and energy use regulatory mechanisms that are triggered by your brain. They are short-term. And there are long-term, like how our body is programmed to perceive hunger and to tell us to eat more or to eat less and to tell the body that we've had enough. So how does this work exactly? So let's start with the short-term mechanisms, because how our brain center, the one that is in charge of regulating our hunger, works is that it works through three modules, to simplify it. Yeah. So one of the things is it senses how our stomach is stretching, yeah, such that when we've eaten a large meal and our stomach stretches, it has nerves that communicate to the brain that we are too stretched, we've had enough food, please suppress the hunger, we've had enough. Yeah, that is why when we eat a large meal and we are full, you stop now feeling, I don't want to eat anymore. Yeah, even the sight of food doesn't make you hungry or crave food anymore. So what is the second mechanism? The second mechanism is from your intestines. So the minute you start to eat, your digestion starts in the mouth from the saliva that you produce. Interesting enough, you produce from like half a liter to 1.5 liters of saliva. And in this saliva, there are breakdown chemicals that are in it. Then it pushes to the stomach. Then from the stomach, already the breakdown of the main fuel sources, your carbohydrates, your fat, will start in the stomach. Yeah. Then from the stomach, it's pushed to your intestines. Yeah. And in the intestines, this is where the crushed food is going to now in its liquid form. That's where the intestines will now start to take the nutrients in the food. So this is the second mechanism that your brain uses, is that it can recognize there is enough nutrients that have been absorbed from the intestines. And this triggers to the brain that we've had enough. It's time to now reduce the appetite. So in the short term, this is how our brain centers tells us that we are full. Or if you've stayed for a long time without eating and your stomach has completely emptied, it is shrinking in size, then what does that tell to the brain? Time to tell to the motivation and the reward centers that it's time that you motivate this person, you trigger this person, you signal this person that please look for food, let's eat. Yeah. Then if you're eating food that is high in nutrients, again your brain can sense that and tell you that you've had enough. But if you're eating food that has very little nutritional value, then that signal really doesn't reach to the brain, because it doesn't send the nutrients, because there are no nutrients. You've eaten empty calories. Yeah. So this is in the short term. Let's talk about the long-term control of your appetite and how your body uses up energy. In the long term, your brain now starts to sense the hormones that are circulating in your blood. The two main hormones that keep on communicating to your brain are what we call insulin. Insulin is normally produced by your pancreas. And it has a couple of functions in your body, but the two main ones that I want to introduce to you is that insulin is like the special key, yeah? So that when you eat foods that are high in glucose, your carbohydrates, then that high glucose that goes to your blood triggers insulin, because your body cannot use glucose in its form until insulin, which is like a special key, opens up the lock and ensures that the glucose is absorbed by your muscles, your brain cells, so that they can use it as a form of energy, and that the rest of it, if it is not used up by your body, is stored as fats. Yeah. The other thing is that insulin is also, so the amount of insulin in your body is correlating to the amount of body fat, and more so the fat around your visceral organs, yeah, your internal organs. That is why when we talk about fat stores, we are more concerned as medical people about your central abdominal, so the fat around your tummy. That is why we will ask you about the hip and the waist hip ratio. That is the difference between your waist, the circumference around your waist and around your hips. Yeah, because the fat around your tummy area actually has some health consequences. Yeah, we will not get into that today. So that's insulin, one of the hormones that communicates to your brain about hunger and how energy is used. The other hormone is called leptin, and leptin is produced by your fat cells. So leptin is more indicative of your total fat stores, including the one just under the subcutaneous fat. Yeah, but insulin communicates to you about the visceral fat, which is the fat around your internal organs. So these two hormones, what is their role? Because like you've seen, when you have very high fat stores, your insulin levels are high, your leptin levels are high. What does this do? It communicates to your body in the long term that this person has a lot of fat stores, so we probably need to reduce their fat levels by consuming more energy and breaking down these fat stores. Yeah, but in someone who has very lean muscles and very low in fat, the fat stores are low, then what does this tell to your brain? Then it tells it, let's eat. Probably we need to conserve our energy a bit. We are running low on our fat stores. Yeah, this is how it works in an ideal situation. And today I want us to tackle what we call lifestyle adaptations, lifestyle choices that trigger increased fat stores and leads to obesity or very high fat stores in our body. I'm not going to talk about the genetic factors, the environmental factors that cause obesity or a large body mass. Yeah, I'm going to talk about those triggered by lifestyle choices, because then the research has shown that obese or people with very large body masses with very large fat, very high fat stores relating to their lifestyle choices, is that this is mostly triggered by eating high calorie. Please watch my second part of this series where I talk about calorie density of the foods that we eat, because fat is an appetite stimulant. By the way, oils and fat stimulate appetite, and they are very high in calories. Then this lifestyle adaptation that make us to choose foods that have been fried in trans fats, to eat a lot of fat, either in like our meats or in the dairy or purely oils, even your olive oil. Yeah, so choosing fatty foods high in calorie, high in refined sugars, this has been shown to have a negative effect on our food intake, on our hunger. How does this happen? Yeah, because as you've seen, if you have high fat stores, then you have high circulating you have high insulin levels, you have high leptin levels, then automatically your brain should sense that and start to reduce your appetite and more so burn more. Yeah, this is in an ideal situation. But eating foods that are high in calories, low in nutrition, high in fats, when they are broken down, they increase the toxic levels in our blood based on the release of the chemicals that are released into our bloodstream. What happens when this toxic waste is released into our bloodstream? Yeah, it induces inflammation. And in layman terms, assume that I come from Kenya, so assume that our borders are being invaded. Then what happens is that we send our army to guard our borders, and if any enemies come inside, then we want them to attack these enemies. And that is how inflammation simply means. Yeah, it's this process that leads to a lot of release of factors that start to fight foreign bodies. Yeah, but if you are always releasing toxic waste that release chemicals that produce inflammation, is that now they start to attack even our normal cells. And in this sense, remember our nice pathway, yeah, from the blood to the brain, then there is actually injury to our nervous system, to our blood system, such that this communication between the two hormones, the insulin and the leptin, is not effective anymore. So that you become insulin resistant. Then you have resistance to your insulin, resistant to your leptin. They are no longer communicating to your blood. What does that tell to the brain? It tells to the brain that we are low on insulin, we are low on leptin. It's not sensing anymore your fat levels. Yeah, because of all the toxicity of all the injury. Yeah, so what does that tell to your brain? Your brain continuously signals to your reward centers, to your motivational centers. And what is interesting about these motivational centers that have been linked to a chemical called dopamine is that they selectively lead you to eat foods that are high in sugar, high in fat. You know, those foods, they smell good. Pizza smells good, looks good. Cake, I love cake. It looks good, it smells good. I see cake, I start salivating. So it introduces this very toxic relationship with food. Yeah, it continuously triggers you to eat all the wrong foods, the ones that are even making you add more fat. And that's the thing with toxic hunger. Yeah, toxic hunger derived from wrong food choices that lead you to have even health, that lead us to have health consequences, so that these hormones are no longer effective. These hormones that should be telling our brain centers, stop eating, let's use up more energy. There's no communication, so what do? You continuously eat. And what are you eating? Food low in nutrition. Foods that are not even filling you with nutrition, with fiber, with water. So even your stomach stretching is not even effective. You're not choosing foods that increase your volume, that trigger to the brain, stop eating. You're not eating foods even in the short term that tell your brain we are high on nutrition. No, your body is not sensing that. So what does that do to us? We continuously eat, and we continuously eat the wrong foods. And the thing with toxic hunger, it is so dramatic. So dramatic. You eat, within 1 hour, you're hungry again. Like, you're looking for food, you're craving for food, because your reward centers really need you to eat. Yeah? So I hope this clarifies the whole true hunger and toxic hunger. But what's the difference? How do you realize true hunger? For me, I started to perceive true hunger last year because I went on a journey to understand how this works. How did I do it? I tried intermittent fasting, and my intermittent fasting was driven by wanting to give my body time to recognize how hunger feels like. The first few days were uncomfortable, yeah, because if you're used to eating unhealthy foods, the toxic waste, it's like withdrawal from a substance, like withdrawal from nicotine. Yeah, it's uncomfortable. Hunger is uncomfortable. Hunger is the reason why our attempts at weight loss is very hard, and it's why even people with obesity, people with large body masses, with high fat stores, have a hard time losing weight, because your body is trying to drive you to eating the same wrong foods. So if you want to get to a point of true hunger, you have to give time to your body to absorb food, to digest food, so that you can begin to sense the true regulator, the true signals of true hunger. Because true hunger is not dramatic. True hunger is derived from ensuring that we are reversing the toxic cycle. Yeah, you have to reverse the cycle. You have to choose foods that are high in nutrition, high in water, in fiber, because these foods, they take time to be digested. It's a steady state of digestion. It doesn't give you the very fast peaks of eat, high sugars, drop again, we have to eat. Yeah. So guys, I hope that this session has been informative to you, because I felt that we cannot start to address food portioning and proportioning before we address the issue of hunger. Give time to your body to experience true hunger. I promise you, it is less dramatic and it is more beneficial to you in the long term. Initially, for a couple of days, it's going to be uncomfortable. Make sure that you continuously feed yourself with these high nutrients, high fiber, high water nutrients that are found in foods. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you stick around for the coming series that you're going to be addressing diet, nutrition, and weight loss. Make sure to share with your friends. I really want us to have a global movement of people that are making healthy food choices. As usual, it's been nice having you around. My name is Dr. Seth. I'm a medical doctor, and all things fitness and health is my motivation. Hope to see you next time. Bye bye.